And welcome on in to the latest edition of the Blue Horseshoe podcast. And unfortunately, George will right off the bat here kick it off. This is the last edition of the Blue Horseshoe podcast. It's been 2 really fun years, but like they say, all good things must come to an end. A schedule change on my end, at least, just makes it a lot more difficult going forward here to do the podcast. So, unfortunately, George, this is really depressing. This is it. This is the last pod. Wow.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. Like you said, two really fun years, and I'll just throw it out there now so everybody can know the real reason that the podcast is leaving. Wesley French got hurt. There's no more French fries. We cannot do the pod without French fries.
We signed it in blood last year. Once French fries is gone, we're gone. I thought we are gonna have a few years, to be honest. I didn't think it was
Back
gonna be
in the
1 year.
day, who knew?
Damn. You say 2 fun years. I mean, I will say the first year, 2022, when we kicked off the pod, um, interesting, maybe the right word there. It was a very interesting year between the 33-0 blown lead, the Snow Angels, Matt Ryan's benching, Jeff's. I mean, how we buried Jeff Saturday's hiring this far down the list is my apologies. So 2023 obviously was interesting in itself with AR's injury. So you know what that means, right? When we end the pod, the Colts are guaranteed to win the Super Bowl now. So Colts
Hey,
fans are welcome. We did it. Just think of
make
us first when AR is lifting up that trophy.
It's funny because when you said 2 years, I was like, man, it feels longer. That's why, because 2022 was a decade. So that's why it feels like it's a lot longer than 2 years. But no, I mean, a lot happened. You mentioned all that craziness in 2022, and then the 2023 offseason, who's the quarterback going to be in, and all the speculation there, and, you know, how things were going to play out with AR and his injury. So it's been an eventful 2 years. How about that?
Yes. Oh, to the Colts' credit, they did not leave us with a shortage of topics to talk about. That is for damn sure. We never really went on to a show and be like, "What the hell are we going to talk about this week?" They made our jobs very, very, very easy. Speaking of jobs, though, just because the podcast is stopping does not mean, especially from George, you can stop getting Colts content. If you haven't been following George at this point, you are missing out. But here's your chance to redeem yourself. George, tell them where they can follow you, check out your work, and continue to consume your great Colts content.
Yeah, absolutely. All my stories are at haroldbolton.com/Colts, so you can read everything there. Obviously, I'm on Twitter, X, Twix, whatever, at GM Brimmer. Those are probably the easiest places to get my updates. But that's not going to change, and we'll see. I mean, there's possibility there'll be a new podcast at some point in the future, and if that happens, I'll announce that on Twix first.
Let's go. Let's go. Count me as your first subscriber without a doubt. Again, especially when the Colts, as we just said, are winning the Super Bowl this year. Definitely be listening to that for sure. It'll be a fun year. All right, so end the pod without at least maybe making one more prediction, George. Are the Colts making this the playoffs this year?
Man, that's a tough one right now.
No, putting you right on the spot. Tough division, tough conference.
My record's been so good over the course of this pod too, so the pressure is really on now to keep up that great run. I am gonna go with no. I just feel like it's gonna be another close near miss kind of year. I think they're gonna be in contention. I just have some doubts about that defensive secondary. I think ultimately that's going to cost them in the end. I think they're going to be a high scoring team, but I think ultimately in January, everyone's going to look back and say, if they just maybe had made one or two more moves, could have maybe got over that hump.
Uh, Justin Simmons. Sorry, I got something in my throat there. Just choked on some water. Hopefully, Chris Ballard is listening one last time. Chris, Justin Simmons. That could maybe prevent what George is talking about right here. I'll say yes with my sterling record when it comes to predictions. Probably just mush the Colts right there. I do think they put it together. AR stays healthy. This offense is going to be a ton of fun to watch. So I will say Colts make the playoffs. We have some fun January, I guess now with the schedule, late January football to watch for the Colts. I think it'll be a very, very fun year. Last thing here before we do get out of here. just want to say thank you. Thank you to you to tuning in, for making us a part of your day, making us part of your week. Obviously, it's a blast for George and I to be able to talk Colts, talk to each other. But it'd be boring if you're just talking to each other, right? We do it really for you, as corny as that sounds, to make sure you're in the loop, to make sure you kind of, have your thoughts heard, and hopefully give you different, Colts perspectives that weren't being talked about before. But this is all for you. So we hope you enjoyed it. We hope this is more of a sad day. If it's a happy day, I guess that's, you gotta look in the mirror, do some self-evaluating. If this is if there's celebrations stopping on the grave of the Blue Horseshoe podcast. But thank you. Yeah, like I said, you have a lot of choices out there, a lot of great content when it comes to Colts coverage, NFL coverage. So you could have gone a million different ways. So thank you for making us at least a part of it, and making us, yeah, part of your day, part of your week. It's, yeah, we do it for the listeners, right, George?
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. Everybody out there who listened, if it was just once or if it was the entire 2 years, it can't be more thankful. All the interaction we had with some of those live shows and some of the things we were able to do, it was a blast. And none of that happens without everybody out there, interacting with us and giving their opinions and sharing their thoughts as well. And then just, the podcast in general. I don't know how much people know, but like Ryan and I did not know each other before this started. Like we had never met. We still have never met in person, only electronically.
And
But
go figure,
it's
this is
just
the
it's
year,
a
by the
weird.
way, where the Colts come to New York twice.
Right. Two trips to New York. But that's, I think that's the great thing about football in general and sports, in general. It brings people together who otherwise might never meet. That's the great thing about Colts football. It's the great thing about the NFL. And I hope that this podcast in some way help people out there as well. I hope that some listeners have stories or they feel like they, know us better because of this or however it worked out. But I know for us, it was really fun 2 years, and I'm sure we'll still be texting. That there'll be no podcast, but we'll still be sharing our thoughts on how the season's going.
Oh, no doubt about it. I'll be blowing your phone up, George. You can bet on that. That is for sure. But yeah, the Colts have definitely allowed us to express a ton of different emotions, get into a ton of different feelings over these last 2 years, without a doubt. It's been fun, frustrating, happy, sad. Yeah, it's been all of the above for sure here. These last 2 years been a big time blast. But again, don't you dare forget about George. Follow George, consume his work. It's going to be a very fun, interesting, positive year for the Colts. So make sure you do follow along, because George is going nowhere. I mean, neither will I. I'd still be on Twitter tweeting about the Colts, but at least in terms of listening every week, we will not be there for you. But thank you again. It's been a lot of fun. George, like you said, we've never met. Hopefully we can change that this year. With one of the two times, at least, bare minimum, the Colts do come at least to my area, playing both the Jets and Giants. So it's been a lot of fun. Thank you again for those who did listen this year. And last thing, let's go Colts.